Hey there, bub! It's Soda Clown and his faithful grunts bringing a brand new top 10 list for you all. This time, we are highlighting the top 10 Wolverine badass quips that backfired spectacularly. We were originally going to scour the entire series, but we quickly realized that there are way too many awesome moments of our beloved Canadian getting embarrassed or humbled just after dropping a badass line or quip. So, without further ado, let's go. First up, an honorable mention. Wolverine vs. War.
Who dares oppose the four horsemen of the apocalypse?
The X-Men do, bub. Don't you think we're getting a little carried away here? Pig-faced runt couldn't take a joke.
This didn't make our prestigious top 10 list, only because Wolverine wasn't in any real physical danger or stressing out. He was just having fun. If anything, it showed how really durable our short superhero actually is because he wasn't even phased after crashing down from 40 feet above ground. Number 10, Wolverine vs. Nimrod.
It's Nimrod!
You mean that itty-bitty soup can? Give me 5 seconds.
This incident is the lowest on our list because Nimrod was from the far distant future. And nobody but our man, Bishop, had any clue what this robot is capable of. Judging this futuristic sentinel purely on aesthetics, Nimrod does look like an easy scrap. So we won't be too harsh on Wolverine for this ass whooping. Number 9, Wolverine versus the Juggernaut.
My hand is quicker than his eye. Like they say, a fool and his money are soon parted.
I knocked on his door, but I don't think he was home.
Wolverine's hands may being quicker than Juggernaut's eyes, but so was Wolverine's ass whooping. When I first watched this episode, even as a little kid, I knew Wolverine was going to lose, but I had no idea he was going to crap the bed as bad. As he did, Cyclops warned Wolverine not to take on the Juggernaut alone, but our beloved Shorty Pansum just had to play the Lone Ranger. Lord howdy, it must have been a bitter pill to swallow. To go back to Cyclops with your tail tucked between your legs. Number 8, Wolverine vs. Magneto.
Come quietly or be taken.
And I hope you want to be taken.
I cannot move!
I will show him no mercy.
Great line, Mr. Logan San, if it wasn't against someone that can literally rip the metal inside your body out with a single thought, that is. Yes, in this universe, Wolverine hasn't tangled with Magneto prior to this encounter, but surely good old Professor Xavier mentioned that Magneto can control and manipulate metal, what Wolverine's entire skeletal structure is laced with. Next up, number 7, Gambit vs. Wolverine.
That mortar looks a little thick, Storm. Better add some water.
Big expert. Always giving orders.
Making up for your screw-ups, Gumbo. Too bad you don't know how to do anything but pick pockets and steal candy from babies. Look out!
One of the rare times where Wolverine's asshole tendencies lacked charm. It was funny seeing the quintessential X-Men tough guy panic and look for cover. This tiny clip does not tell the whole story. Wolverine was going around to every fellow X-Men member, trying to show off his handyman skills, and simply got called out for it. Better keep your eye on that Gambit. He's a sneaky one, Wolverine. Surely you won't let Gambit get the best of you next time, right? On to the next one. Number 6, Sabretooth vs. Wolverine.
You lost it, pal. 10 years ago, I never could have got this close.
I can still handle punks like you.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not shaming Wolverine for technically losing this fight. It's Sabretooth, for crying out loud. He's no walk in the park for anybody. However, this particular fight, hell, this entire episode highlights Wolverine's curse. This freaking Canadian cannot catch a damn break. Pun not intended. Whenever he finds serenity, chaos surrounds him. Whenever he finds peace, war engulfs him. Whenever he marches forward, destruction follows. Whenever he retreats, hell traps him. Wolverine always has the deck stacked against him, especially when facing a bloodthirsty psychopathic killer like Sabretooth. Now on to our top 5, Wolverine versus Gambit, Part 2.
How would you like to try absorbing these? Now sit down, both of you, or cards won't be the only thing that gets cut around here.
I still think he's cheating.
Then you better cut the cards.
Gambit, stop.
Unfreaking believable. Again, I know Wolverine is a rather hard-headed mutant both figuratively and literally, but this is getting ridiculous. Just like George W. Bush once said, "Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. A fool can't get fooled again." But seriously, shame on Wolverine for once again running his mouth, letting his guard down, and boom, the clever Cajun gets the jump on him twice. And this clip, he drops 2 explosives, and Wolverine's so-called keen senses couldn't pick up jack squat. Just unbelievable. Now, we are entering the final 4 on our definitive countdown. Number 4, Wolverine versus Sentinels.
Get out of here, Cajun.
Wolverine!
Technically not really a badass one-liner, but the intent behind Logan's actions were pretty badass. It's just unfortunate he failed yet again. But still, I personally loved this season finale scene, and it's probably my second favorite of the first season because Wolverine had been struggling with the heavy guilt of not being able to save his best friend Morph in the very first episode. And as shown on this very list, Wolverine and Gambit have not exactly gotten along throughout the season as well. So here is Wolverine's chance to right the wrong in some way by risking his own life in order to save a fellow X-Men who he hasn't exactly been friendly toward, but it just wasn't meant to be. But hold up, wait a minute, we're not quite done with this giant robotic bastards just yet. Number 3, more Sentinels for Wolverine to deal with and fail.
It's adamantium tasting time, boys.
This one may be a bit controversial, seeing as how the entire X-Men were ambushed and all were fighting for the light. But let me explain why this moment is ranked so high. This very scene is the first of, so many times Wolverine gets his ass kicked just after talking up such a big game. It has honestly become a running joke around my neck of the woods. What makes it worse is nearly all the other X-Men members did their part in fighting off the ambush, especially Storm and Cyclops. Even Gambit and Rogue took down a bunch of military tanks and some Sentinels before they had to retreat. Storm had to literally drag Cyclops away after they took down countless Sentinels like the G's they are. Wolverine, on the other hand, didn't even land a single solitary scratch on any Sentinel or military vehicle, ever. And he was the one with the nerve to have the worst attitude of not wanting to, and I quote, "cut and run. Logan's son, you have to be able to cut first before you can run." Anyway, now on to number 2, Wolverine and Jean Grey.
Oh
Oh no!
Jean.
I've gotta go. Cyclops is waiting for me.
So am I.
Spoiler alert! Wolverine doesn't get his dream girl, Jean Grey, aka the Phoenix, or Marvel Girl, no matter what alias she goes by, or planet, or timeline, or any altered state of mind. Jean Grey never, ever leaves Cyclops for Wolverine, not just in Season 1, but for the entire series. Yes, including the recent continuing season, X-Men 97, that debut in 2024. This scene is just the first of many, and also the most infamous rejection. And Wolverine still, after decades, pines for her like a lost, pathetic puppy dog. It's honestly quite depressing. Let's move on, please, since Logan obviously never will. Now for our number 1, Wolverine vs. Sabretooth, Part 2. Let's go.
And in this business, bub, second best don't cut it.
Wolverine, what did I teach you about revenge? How often have I warned you about letting your personal feelings endanger the work of our team?
You're out of line, Professor. All
Wolverine was just so damn close to finally getting a real win. If it wasn't for that old bald moron Professor Xavier, Wolverine would have saved not just Jubilee, but himself, the rest of the X-Men, and the entire world for that matter, from a whole heap of problems, death, and destruction caused by that bloodthirsty snake, Sabretooth. This is Wolverine's finest moment in all of Season 1, which is still a big fat fail at the end of the day. But none of the reasons could be laid at his feet. Wolverine warned everybody about how Sabretooth could not and should not be trusted, yet everybody still ignored him. They even threatened to kick our loyal Wolverine out of the team if he didn't leave Sabretooth alone. Wolverine finally was right. He talked the talk and walked the walk and was practically and morally right from the very beginning, and still paid the price. Well, I guess that's just how the cookie crumbles for poor Wolverine. Well, that does it, everybody. That's our top 10 badass Wolverine moments that backfired. Please remember to like and subscribe, and we will see you later, bub.